Welcome to MFSN's Divisional Preview Shows. Today we have the NL East, and I'm going to start with Casey. You're an East guy.
I am. I'm
Yankees
the East
fan.
Coaster of this group, so I guess I get to talk about the East first.
That's right.
The NL East, to me, is the most stacked division in baseball this year. I just think their top three teams are so strong that, and it's more with bats with some of them than with pitching, but to me, the top three could go any way. But I'm actually going to not have the defending world champions finish at the top of the East. I am going to give the Mets their day in the sun. I think Steve Cohen has spent enough money finally to get the team. I think Francisco Lindor rebounds this year and puts up the numbers that he was putting up in his prime Cleveland years. You put Alonso in that lineup. You have Scherzer and DeGrom at the top of your rotation. Like, find a 1-2 that's better than that. So I'm going to put them number one. I'm going to put Atlanta 2. I do think that Atlanta is just as strong. They'll have Acuna back and healthy for a majority of the season. I think Olsen and Acuna is a better combination than Freddie Freeman. Not that the loss of Freddie Freeman isn't huge, but that they compensate for that really well. Their starting rotation, I don't know how they keep getting it done because nobody's that flashy in their rotation, but they keep getting it done. Max Fried manages to miss bats. He manages to keep the ball in the yard despite not having overwhelming stuff. Their bullpen is crazy good, so I think they're number 2. The coin flip for me is 3 and 4, and it's not with the Washington Nationals. I think the Washington Nationals are by far the worst team in this division. I think if they finish if they finish close to 500, they got to consider it a successful year. I think the Miami Marlins are the sneaky team in this division with that pitching. They added Soler. They have some offense there now. Jazz Chisholm is a good young player. They could compete with the Phillies, not because the Phillies can't out-hit or hit with anybody, but after Wheeler and Nola, what do they have in their rotation? And their bullpen is going to be relying on Corey Knebel, I think, or Brad Hand, who has proven that his 2 or 3 year run in Cleveland was the peak of his career. So for me, I'm going to go 1 Mets, 2 Braves, 3 Phillies, 4 Marlins, and 5 Washington Nationals. And
all right, Ross.
The top 3 make the playoffs, by the way.
The top 3 make the playoffs. Okay. Important to note. Ross, go ahead.
I'm taking the Atlanta Braves. I just feel when the New York team puts all these players together, it's going to take them a while to get some synergy. But I'm taking the Braves. Matt Olson's going to have 50 home runs. Huge year in Atlanta. If you have in fantasy, congratulations, you're a winner.
Says the man who owns him.
I like Atlanta a lot this year, actually. And their pitching, they always find these pitchers in Ian Anderson, and they have a really good bullpen. They signed Jansen from the Dodgers. They also have Will Smith from last year. They have a really good team, and that team is going to work well together. And they won it last year, so I'm giving them the respect they deserve. Casey Scheinfeld. Second, I'm taking the Mets. Let me just tell you something. If the Mets make the playoffs, and I think they will, can you imagine facing the Groom the first day, and then, we'll put a Max Scherzer in. He'll pitch the second day. Can you imagine? I mean, and then Carrasco.
By the way, don't forget Chris Bassett, who's vastly underrated as a pitcher, as their number 3.
They got from the A's.
Yeah.
He was the A's number 1 pitcher. So they have 2 legitimate Cy Young guys. They have Bissett. They have Carrasco. And then they have a really good bullpen with Diaz, and they signed somebody else. Case I forgot who it is, but doesn't matter. I like the Mets. I'm worried about their hitting. Every time their hitting never comes up. I don't know why. And then third, I'm taking the Phillies. I really want Bryce Harper to be in the playoffs with the Phillies. He's never been. So I'm taking the Phillies there. And then I agree with the Nationals will compete. They're not going to be that great. I love Juan Soto. He's a one-man band there. He doesn't have anybody else in that lineup that kind of back him up. I like Soto a lot. I feel he'll have a good season. And then I like the Marlins. After Jeter was fired, Marlins are going to be hexed for a while. So the Miami Marlins will finish last.
You can't recover from firing Derek Jeter. All right, now listen.
He stepped down.
Well, he stepped down. That's actually a very important distinction. But still, I mean, he left them for a reason. Yeah. Okay. Now, I have winning the NL East, the world champion Atlanta Braves. I think the reason I think this, the Mets are a great team with probably the 2 most dominant starters of any rotation. And so they're going to make the playoffs. They'll come in second. But the thing I think about the Mets, and this is kind of in line with what Ross said, I think when you pay all that money, it doesn't guarantee you're going to have the chemistry. The Braves already have that, and they're top to the bottom. They're good at everything. I just think they're the most well-rounded team in that division by far. So I think they take the division. The Mets are way too talented to do anything but finish second or higher in that division. The Phillies, I think, are pretty much perpetually underachieving. Joe Girardi's a great manager, though. I think he'll get a great season out of them. I think they're just going to miss the cut, but they will be very competitive. As we said, the Nationals, they're not a very good team anymore, but Juan Soto is so good that I think he'll have them finishing above the Marlins. That's my take. The Marlins are a good young team, and they have good young pitching, but is it going to hold up? Is there going to be regression? The Marlins, to me, are kind of, this is not a good analogy because the Toronto Blue Jays were good last year, but I think they're the team that's going to regress most. I see the Blue Jays and the Marlins as regressing this year, but we'll see. All right, so I have the Braves winning the division, the Mets making the playoffs, and the Phillies just missing the cut. That's our NL East preview, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we'll get back to you personally. Thank you for watching.